Ever wonder why certain patterns in your life keep repeating, no matter how hard you try to change them? The same financial struggles, the same toxic relationships, the same inner battles. It's not bad luck. It's not coincidence. What if I told you the common denominator isn't out there, but right here, your vibration, your internal frequency, quietly running the show behind everything you experience? Because whether you realize it or not, the universe isn't reacting to what you say you want. It's reflecting what you consistently broadcast. Through your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, your physical state. Your life is the feedback. Before we dive in, take 2 seconds, hit subscribe, help me push this channel to that first 1,000 subs. And whatever you do, stick around until part 4. That's where I'll show you one ridiculously simple way to raise your vibration instantly, something you can do right now, even if you're just lying there watching this. Ready? Let's get into it. The hidden reason you're trapped in the same life loop. Picture this. You're in your car, turning the dial on the radio, searching for that one perfect song. You know what you want. Smooth, clear, crisp sound. But no matter how much you wish for it, if you're tuned to the wrong frequency, all you'll hear is static. It doesn't matter how loudly you demand the music. The station won't come through unless you match its signal. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. Life works exactly the same way. You can say, I want success, I want love, I want abundance, all day long. But beneath those words, what's your actual frequency? For most, it's tuned to lack, fear, or self-doubt. And the universe, unlike the people around you, doesn't listen to your words, picks up on your signal. It reflects whatever vibration you're transmitting, whether you realize it or not. Jim Carrey understood this before he became, well, Jim Carrey. Broke, struggling, parking on Mulholland Drive every night. He didn't wait for external circumstances to dictate his energy. He wrote himself a $10 million check, visualized the life he wanted, and here's the crucial part. He felt the feelings as if he was already living it. He carried himself like someone whose success was inevitable. When the offer for Dumb and Dumber rolled in years later for exactly that amount, people called it luck. But it wasn't luck. It was alignment. Most people never make that shift because they're stuck in what neuroscientists call predictive coding. Every day you wake up and, without even noticing, your brain runs the same loops. The same thoughts trigger the same emotions. Those emotions shape the same behaviors. And the kicker? Your brain loves familiarity. It doesn't care if those loops serve you. It only cares if they're known. So when you try to visualize abundance, but feel anxiety, guess which one your body believes? It's always the frequency you feel, not the one you wish for, that dominates. Let's be honest. How often do you catch yourself saying you want change, but emotionally preparing for disappointment? How often do you rehearse worst-case scenarios, justify why things won't work, or scroll past opportunities because it's not the right time? That's autopilot in action. That's the radio stuck on static, even as you dream of a symphony. And it's not just theory. Take the classic double-slit experiment in quantum physics. Particles behave differently when they're observed. Consciousness literally affects outcomes, which means your internal state isn't just personal. It's part of the equation shaping your external reality. You are quite literally participating in the creation of the world you experience. So, here's the uncomfortable but liberating truth. Nothing shifts until your frequency does. You don't attract abundance by wishing harder. You attract it by becoming the kind of person who, energetically, already lives in that reality. That means breaking the autopilot, interrupting the old emotional cycles, reprogramming your reactions, and refusing to let your current bank balance, relationship status, or circumstances dictate how you feel. The real question is, how willing are you to sit in the discomfort of rewiring that frequency? To feel abundant when your environment screams otherwise? To love yourself before anyone else does? That's the gap most people won't cross. And yet, That's where the shift happens. So, before you ask the universe for something else, ask yourself, are you ready to change the station? The 3-part vibration formula that shapes your entire life. Let's break this down. You say you want to shift your life. More abundance, deeper love, better health. But have you ever stopped and asked, what's the actual formula behind the vibration you're sending out every single day? It's not random. It's not luck. It's a system made of 3 powerful, interconnected forces. Your mind, your emotions, and your body's energy field. Miss one, and you're back at square one. Let's see why. Start with the mind. Every thought you entertain is like casting a vote for the reality you'll eventually live in. Think about it. If daily your thoughts circle around debt, failure, anxiety, what do you think you're broadcasting? It's not neutral. Neuroscience backs this up. Studies show repeated thoughts literally carve pathways into your brain, wiring you to default back to them. It's no accident that people who always expect the worst keep finding themselves in situations that confirm it. Their neural pathways practically demand it. You ever meet someone who seems permanently stuck? No matter how much advice they get or how many opportunities show up, 9 times out of 10 is because they're mentally locked into an old loop. The same thoughts triggering the same outcomes. Einstein had something to say about this. Doing the same thing over and over but expecting different results? That's insanity. The same applies to your thinking patterns. But here's where it gets trickier. You can slap on positive affirmations all day. Try to think good thoughts. But if your emotions don't align, your vibration's still out of sync. The heart is the amplifier. This is not spiritual fluff. It's physiological. Research from the HeartMath Institute has shown that emotions like gratitude, love, appreciation, literally bring your heart rhythms into a coherent, stable state. When your heart and brain are in sync, it creates electromagnetic fields measurable outside your body. In simpler terms, emotions charge your thoughts with real physical energy. That's why people who force themselves to think positive, but deep down feel anxious or resentful, get stuck. It's like trying to broadcast on 2 stations at once. The signal's fuzzy, scattered, inconsistent. The universe responds to your dominant frequency, not what you're pretending to feel, but what's actually running underneath. Now, here's the part most people overlook entirely. Your body's energy field. You're not just a mind floating in space. Your physical state directly influences how stable or chaotic your vibration is. Poor sleep, bad nutrition, no movement, all of it weakens the integrity of your energy. Ever notice how when you're sleep deprived, you're more reactive, less patient, more prone to negative thoughts spiraling? That's not coincidence. Stress hormones flood your system, your nervous system stays in fight or flight, and suddenly your thoughts and emotions become harder to manage. It's all connected. Think of it like tuning an instrument. Your thoughts set the notes. Your emotions amplify the sound. Your body determines if the instrument stays in tune or falls flat. Leave one string out of alignment, and no matter how beautifully you try to play, the song will sound off. Look at historical figures who mastered this alignment consciously or not. Take Jesus, for example. His teachings centered not only on belief, mind, but also love and compassion, heart. While practicing physical discipline, fasting, solitude, care for others, energy field. His miracles weren't random events. They were manifestations of someone fully coherent in mind, heart, and body. Or consider top athletes today. LeBron James invests millions yearly into optimizing his body, sleep, nutrition, recovery, because he understands performance isn't just skill, but vibration. His mindset, laser-focused. His emotions, steady. His body, primed. And the results? Predictable excellence. So here's the question most people avoid. When was the last time you checked all 3 levels? Your thoughts, your emotions, your physical state, and asked if they're actually in alignment? It's not enough to fix one and neglect the others. One weak link pulls the whole system down. You're always broadcasting. The question is, are you transmitting by default stuck in old patterns? Or are you willing to tune every layer, mind, heart, body, to finally match the frequency of the life you say you want? Instant vibration shift, the breathing hack no one talks about. Let me ask you something. Ever catch yourself spiraling, thoughts racing, heart pounding, mind stuck on a loop of negativity, and wonder, how do I snap out of this fast? How do I shift without waiting hours, days, or months for my situation to change? Because here's the truth no one really tells you. Your external circumstances don't need to budge 1 inch before your internal state does. It's not about waiting. It's about alignment, and there's a way to do it right now, in minutes, no matter where you are. It starts with your breath. You've probably heard before that breath controls the nervous system, but most people underestimate just how quickly this works. There's a simple pattern. For seconds inhale, for seconds hold, for seconds exhale. That isn't some trendy hack. It's directly connected to your vagus nerve, the control switch for your parasympathetic system. When you breathe like this, the message is clear. Stand down. We're safe. Within minutes, cortisol drops, heart rate steadies, and the frantic energy loosens its grip. Think about how often people stay stuck in stress, simply because they forget to intervene in their body first. But the breath is just the first key. The real shift happens when you layer emotion on top of it. Your body might calm down, but unless you replace the emotional static with something coherent, your vibration won't fully lock in. So here's where you get intentional. Pick one memory, one moment where you felt absolutely alive, loved, powerful, peaceful. Whatever resonates strongest. Could be something small, like laughing uncontrollably with friends, or something life-changing, like achieving a long-held dream. Relive it, not as a vague thought, but as if it's happening right now. Your brain doesn't know the difference between memory and reality. When you focus deeply enough, and don't stop at just feeling it, let that energy expand. Visualize the feeling filling every inch of your body, pushing outward, as if the air around you is charged with it. Ever walk into a room and sense someone's energy without a word being said? That's because energy fields extend beyond the body. You're not just containing it, you're broadcasting it. The more vivid, the stronger the signal. Now, here's where most people stop. They feel a bit better, maybe calmer, maybe even optimistic, but without grounding that energy into something solid. It fizzles out by the afternoon. So cap it off with a clear affirmation. Not a hollow mantra, but a statement that matches the vibration you're cultivating. Something like, I am the frequency of abundance, or I radiate peace effortlessly. You're not saying it to convince yourself. You're saying it because in that moment, every part of you, mind, emotion, energy, is aligned with it. You're affirming what's already true in your state, not trying to force it. And if this feels oddly familiar, that's because it's not new. Buddhist monks have been practicing a version of this for centuries. In metta bhavana, or loving kindness meditation, they visualize compassion expanding from their hearts, flowing outward endlessly. They don't wait for kindness to show up in the world first. They generate it internally, and their vibration follows. So the next time negativity grips you, don't waste energy fighting it. You have a toolkit hardwired into your physiology. Start with the breath, lock in the emotion, expand it beyond yourself, and anchor it with clear intent. The shift isn't theoretical. It's measurable, immediate, and entirely under your control. Now you tell me, next time stress hits, will you default to the same old patterns? Or will you remember you've got the switch in your own hands? Why you keep falling back after trying to change your life? Ever wonder why, even after a solid meditation session, or reading something uplifting, within hours, sometimes minutes, you're back to worrying, doubting, stressing? One moment you're feeling unstoppable, next moment you're obsessing over that bill, that argument, that email you haven't replied to. It's like flipping between two channels constantly, high and low, on repeat. That's not random. That's what's known as vibrational oscillation. And if you've ever felt like your progress in shifting your mindset or manifesting better outcomes feels unstable, this is likely why. Think about it. Your nervous system, your thought patterns, your emotional defaults, they've been rehearsed, not for days or weeks, but for decades. Years of waking up and immediately scanning for problems, replaying failures, tensing up about worst-case scenarios. That conditioning has carved deep neural grooves in your brain. So when you dip into a meditation, or read a few chapters of something positive, sure, you spike into a higher frequency, but it's like flexing a muscle once and expecting to stay strong forever. Without repetition, your mind and body snap right back to the familiar baseline, the lower vibrational default you've unconsciously trained. It's similar to what happens in physical fitness. You can't go to the gym once, lift a few weights, and walk out expecting to maintain that strength for months. The body doesn't work that way, and neither does your energy field. It's not about one big moment of inspiration. It's about what you repeat when no one's watching. Consistency beats intensity every time. Neuroscientists have backed this with hard data. Hebb's law states, neurons that fire together wire together. Every time you react with fear, frustration, or self-doubt, you're strengthening that network. The only way to rewire it? Through conscious daily repetition, feeding your mind, emotions, and body a new signal, over and over, until that new pathway becomes the default. Want proof outside the science lab? Look at athletes like Serena Williams. She didn't become one of the greatest by having one good practice session and calling it done. It was relentless repetition, day after day, year after year, until her responses on the court were automatic, effortless. Her default setting wasn't talent alone. It was conditioning, or consider spiritual masters throughout history. Jesus retreated into solitude regularly, not once but consistently, reinforcing his alignment regardless of the chaos surrounding him. Monks don't meditate once and call it enlightenment. They return to it daily, training the mind like a muscle, building emotional resilience through repetition. Here's where people trip up. They expect one high vibration moment to undo decades of conditioning. But the real work isn't in the peak experiences. It's in the mundane moments, how you respond when nothing's going right, when you're exhausted, when you're triggered. That's where vibrational stability is built. So ask yourself, are you treating your vibration like a one-time event, or like a daily discipline? What's your default when the meditation app is closed, the book's on the shelf, and life throws the next curveball? Because it's not about never dipping low. It's about shortening the time you stay there, training your system to bounce back faster, until eventually, the high frequency isn't a temporary spike. It's your baseline. And if that sounds exhausting, remember, the alternative is staying stuck in that exhausting cycle of up and down, chasing short-term highs, but defaulting back to the same old patterns. Consistency isn't glamorous, but it's the only thing that rewires your reality. So what are you practicing today? Because whether you're aware of it or not, you're always practicing something. Is positive vibration a lie? The dark side no one dares mention. You've probably heard the critique before. Isn't all this talk about vibration just another way of telling people to plaster a smile over their problems? Isn't it just toxic positivity in disguise? Pretending everything's fine, ignoring real struggles, suppressing the dark stuff to keep up appearances? It's a fair question. In fact, it's one worth sitting with. Because if misunderstood, the obsession with high vibes only can actually backfire. Let's get real. Life's not a constant string of good days. No one, whether it's you, me, or someone like Oprah, lives untouched by grief, anger, fear. Trying to bulldoze those feelings under a fake layer of positivity doesn't make them disappear. It buries them alive. And what's buried doesn't die. It festers. That's where the critics of the vibration conversation have a point. When people misuse the concept, treating it like an escape hatch from anything uncomfortable turns shallow fast. But here's where that critique misses something crucial. The real work isn't about avoiding negative emotions. It's about how you meet them. You don't raise your vibration by denying the low points. You raise it by learning how to face them without letting them own you. Look at mindfulness practice, particularly in Buddhist traditions. When monks talk about cultivating inner peace, they're not advocating for a sugar-coated existence. They sit with suffering. Literally, the core of Vipassana meditation, for example, is observing every sensation, every thought, every uncomfortable emotion, without flinching, without reacting. No running, no numbing. Over time, something powerful happens. The grip of those emotions loosens, not because they've been ignored, but because they've been seen clearly and accepted. Modern psychology backs this up. Studies on emotional regulation show people who acknowledge their negative emotions, but don't get swept away by them, report better mental health, more stable moods, even stronger relationships. Acceptance doesn't weaken you, it builds resilience. It's the difference between drowning in the wave versus learning to surf it. So what does this have to do with vibration? Everything. Vibrational alignment isn't about pretending you're happy all the time. It's about maintaining enough awareness to not let temporary emotions dictate your entire frequency. You can feel anger without becoming an angry person. You can feel grief without descending into hopelessness. The key is whether you allow those emotions to move through you, rather than getting stuck in you. Think about someone like Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison under brutal conditions. No one would argue he avoided pain, but when he emerged, he chose forgiveness over bitterness, not because he never felt rage, but because he didn't let it define his vibration. His ability to hold his pain, process it, and then release it is exactly what kept his spirit intact. So, next time you're tempted to ask, should I be focusing on vibration or facing my pain? Understand the question itself is flawed. It's not either or. You face the pain to raise the vibration. Denial is fragile. Awareness, even of the darkest parts of you, is unshakable. Tell me, what emotion have you been trying to avoid lately? What if instead of resisting it, you observed it like a passing storm, knowing full well that you control the weather afterward? Why letting go might be the only way to get what you want. Ever notice how the harder you grip something, the more it slips through your fingers? It's a pattern that shows up everywhere. Relationships, career goals, and money. The more desperate, the more attached you get to how and when things need to happen, the more you broadcast lack. Ironically, it's that exact frequency of lack that keeps you stuck in waiting mode, always one step behind what you want. This isn't just spiritual rhetoric. It's baked into every major tradition, and even modern physics. Buddhism has warned for centuries. Attachment is the root of suffering, not because desire itself is wrong, but because clinging warps the energy behind it. Taoism echoes the same with Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. It teaches that control is an illusion, and the more you let go, the more life seems to align without force. But where it gets really fascinating is when you realize science has been pointing to the same thing. In quantum mechanics, there's the concept of the wave function collapse. A particle exists in multiple potential states, pure possibility, until it's observed. The act of observation itself forces the particle into a fixed position. Apply that to your life. The more tightly you focus, obsess, overanalyze, the more you collapse possibilities into rigidity. You're not leaving space for outcomes outside of your limited perspective. You can see this principle play out in real life everywhere. Ever meet someone desperate to find love? They do all the right things. Dating apps, self-help books, affirmations. But underneath, you can feel the tension, the neediness, and it pushes people away. contrast that with someone who's fully enjoying their life, content, focused on their own growth, and somehow, love shows up naturally without the heavy grasp. Same desire, entirely different energy. Psychology reinforces this. Studies on goal setting show people who become fixated on outcomes experience more stress, more burnout, and ironically achieve less. The ones who focus on the process, who show up consistently without trying to force every detail, not only perform better, but enjoy the journey along the way. So what does detachment actually look like? It's not apathy. It's not sitting back, hoping the universe figures it out for you. It's the ability to act decisively, set clear intentions, but release your grip on the result. You take care of the input. You stop micromanaging the output. This is something spiritual leaders understood intuitively. Jesus didn't plead for signs. He spoke with absolute certainty. Ask and believe you have received. That's not metaphorical. That's vibrational alignment. You get into the emotional state where having it feels inevitable, and then you let go. Taoist masters embodied the same. No force, no strain, yet nothing left undone. They aligned their actions with natural flow, detached from rigid expectations. The irony is, when you finally stop asking, when will it happen? Or why hasn't it arrived yet? When you stop hovering over the seed, you create space for things to unfold faster, cleaner, without resistance. So, if you're honest with yourself, where are you still gripping too tightly? Where are you collapsing possibilities by overthinking every step? What would shift if you trusted the process fully, detached from needing it to happen a certain way, but held your vibration steady anyway? Because it's not the desire itself. It's the energy behind it that determines everything. What if time isn't real? The quantum secret to faster manifestation. How often do you catch yourself obsessing over when something will finally happen? When will the money show up? When will the relationship arrive? When will life finally look the way you want? It's one of the most common traps. The mental loop of waiting, constantly checking the clock, thinking time is the missing ingredient. But what if the entire concept of time, at least the way we've been taught to see it, is the illusion keeping you stuck? Einstein said it plainly, time is only an illusion. And this isn't just a poetic statement, it's backed by hard physics. In the realm of quantum mechanics, linear time doesn't exist the way we experience it. Particles don't move from point A to point B in neat sequences. Instead, every possibility exists simultaneously in a field of probabilities. Time, as we perceive it, is something the human mind stitches together to make sense of events. But at the quantum level, all outcomes are already present, already available, coexisting in the same moment. This completely flips the narrative most people live by. We've been conditioned to believe that results unfold in a straight line. You work hard, you wait, you hope, and eventually maybe you're rewarded. But quantum reality doesn't operate on linear schedules. It responds to alignment, not calendars. You can see this play out practically. Ever notice how some people seem to collapse timelines effortlessly? Think about artists or entrepreneurs who seem to come out of nowhere, skyrocketing in a fraction of the time it takes others. It's not because they hacked the clock. It's because their internal state, their belief, their emotional and energetic alignment synced up perfectly with the outcome, and time bent to match them, not the other way around. On the flip side, how many people do you know who've been waiting for years, waiting for their big break, waiting for life to get better, but their energy is stuck in lack, in doubt, in frustration? No matter how much time passes, the outcome never seems to shift, because in quantum terms, time doesn't move you closer, only frequency does. This is why waiting becomes a self-sabotaging loop. The question, when will it happen, broadcasts a signal that you don't have it yet. You vibrate in lack, and the universe reflects exactly that. The more you wait, the more you delay. So what's the alternative? You stop treating time as the gatekeeper. Instead of playing the role of someone waiting for life to deliver, you embody the version of yourself who already has it. Right now, emotionally, mentally, energetically, you become that person before any external evidence shows up. It's not about pretending. It's about understanding that the quantum field doesn't distinguish between what's physically here and what's vividly felt, believed, lived in the now. The synchronization happens when you align yourself fully with the outcome, collapsing all the not yet versions of reality. If time's an illusion, why waste another second waiting? What would shift if, instead of asking when, you focused entirely on who you're being in this moment? Because that's the only timeline that matters. Your life is a mirror, what it's secretly telling you about yourself. If you've ever wondered what vibration you're actually putting out into the world, you don't need a fancy device or some spiritual guru to measure it for you. Life is already doing that. Every moment is holding up a mirror, reflecting back exactly what frequency you're operating on. Look around. The relationships you attract, are they nourishing, balanced, supportive? Or do they feel like cycles of drama, betrayal, or emotional exhaustion? That's not random. It's feedback. Your financial situation, steady flow, unexpected opportunities, or constant struggle, lack, and scarcity? Again, not coincidence. It's a direct reflection of what you're broadcasting internally, whether that's rooted in abundance, trust, fear, or self-doubt. Even your health and mental state speak volumes. Chronic stress, low energy, feeling drained before the day even begins? These aren't just results of external pressures. They're signals of the vibration you've been holding, possibly for years. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. It's easier to blame the economy, bad luck, toxic people, or circumstances outside of your control. But nothing changes until you pause and ask the real question. What's the frequency I'm living in that keeps attracting this same experience? It's like tuning into a radio station. You can't be surprised you keep hearing sad songs. If you're stuck on the station that plays nothing but heartbreak anthems, you can't demand abundance, love, or peace, while your internal station is quietly humming lack, fear, or unworthiness underneath. This isn't about guilt or self-blame. It's about radical self-awareness. Because the beauty of this mirror reality is that it gives you the power to shift. The moment you recognize what's being reflected isn't punishment, but feedback, you gain leverage. You stop reacting and start adjusting. Think of it like realignment. Compass doesn't judge you when you're off course. Simply shows you where you are, so you can pivot. Life's reflections work the same way. So, next time something feels off, whether it's your bank account, your relationships, or your own inner unrest, don't just ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, lean in deeper and ask, what vibration have I been sending out to make this my norm? That question changes everything. Because once you're aware of the signal, you can finally change the station. Master your vibration, master your destiny, the ultimate key. Everything showing up in your life is a direct response to your vibration. Not the polite desires you speak out loud, but the deep, consistent signals you send through your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and how you carry yourself every day. You want change? Start by getting honest. What frequency have you been living in? Scarcity? Fear? Doubt? That's the vibration shaping your reality, not luck, not chance. The formula is simple but not easy. Recognize the old frequency. Train the new one relentlessly through what you think, feel, and do. And then let go. Stop strangling the outcome. Trust the process. Your reality shifts when your inner state becomes unshakable, not when the external world bends first. So here's the question. What frequency are you done with today? Drop it in the comments. Don't scroll past. Say it, name it, let it go. If this hits, hit like, subscribe, share it forward. The algorithm's not running your life. You are.